I don't know if this is the end of the year or the start of the year.
Okay.
I just really don't know what goes first, recruiting or the end of the season. So to me, it's really the end of the year. The year really begins for our coaching staff about the 1st of August and ends the 1st of February when we come off the road recruiting. It's a lot like being in the Fleet Submarine Force of the United States Navy. You go underwater out of Puget Sound and you don't surface again for 6 months. So our boat is tied up alongside the pier. The lines are out. Most of the crew's gotten off the boat. And as of tonight, when we get done with our display of our recruits at a booster function this afternoon, we're looking for 6 months of real life. So I'm very proud of where we're at in our program, except for obviously on the scoreboard. Coming off at 2-9, that's not where we wanted to be. Yeah, it's harbinger of really where we're at. You would have to look at 2014 and say there's a little bit of an anomaly in there, and there was. So we had a fourth-year quarterback that was pretty outstanding. We also only beat one team that had a winning record. So really, was 14 as good as it really was? And maybe 2015 was better than our record indicated. In a lot of ways, that is true, because what we are is an organization that prides itself on academic performance, being socially responsible, and we had a blip, of course, here a couple weeks ago, and then being able to be good on the scoreboard. And I think the one thing that I'm excited about, not just today, but where we're at in our program personnel-wise. First of all, 72 guys are lifting every afternoon with Kristen Schumann, our new strength and conditioning coach, and what's going on in our weight room right now is an excellent predictor of the way we're going to be. And of these guys that we're going to talk about here in a little bit, several of them will have an impact on us next fall. Last year at this time, we did not say much about Jason Miller, who's going to be an outstanding free safety for us, or Rasheed Williams, who led all freshman defensive linemen in our conference in tackles and sacks and tackles for loss and whatnot. And there will be guys like that in this class that will have a great impact on us right away. So let's start off and talk a little bit about some in-state guys that really are going to have an impact on us. And if you look at our list, our receiving list is full of a lot of in-state wide receivers. Some of those guys will play right away, and some of those guys are headed for church-related missions. All of them, the one thing that they all have in common is that they're all real familiar with our program, either through legacy or through actually being here on campus during football camp. And the same thing is true at other in-state positions, especially in our offensive line. Jake Molinar came to camp and was really one of the outstanding players in camp and really earned himself a scholarship and was an early commit for us. He, along with Carson Sutherland in our offensive line, are going to have two guys that have height, size, speed, and ability to play for us right away. And we have shown, whether it's in our offensive line or in our defensive line, that there really isn't anything such as a red shirt. In fact, if you want to go through the whole red shirt concept about this entire class, I would say that everybody's going to play until they prove they can't play. More guys have played football longer now than any other time in my coaching career. You start playing contact football in 3rd or 4th grade. By the time you get into high school, get to be a senior in high school, some of these kids have already played contact football for 10 years. So they're playing so much Xbox and so much PlayStation. The familiarity with the game played at our level and even the level above us in the NFL is something second nature to them. So they know some of the nuances that in years past we always had to laboriously teach them during the course of being redshirt. So I'm real proud of the guys that we've assigned in-state. I'm proud of our work in the state of Washington. I'm really proud of our work in Southern California, which are the only 3 areas that we really emphasized recruiting. We only signed 1 athlete out of that area. In Northern California, we signed an outstanding corner because I think Monroe at 6'2", 190 can be a corner that can play for us right away. He's out of Sarah High School in the Bay Area. So we stayed very disciplined as a coaching staff in our recruiting areas, particularly in Idaho, in Washington, and in Southern California. All of these guys, most of these guys are already academically through what we consider to be our keyhole. Some guys have some work still to do. We're only announcing 2 junior college players at this time. Both guys are cornerbacks, where we had 3 seniors last year. So those guys won't join us until the fall campaign. And we're signing 2 high school cornerbacks. We have 5 scholarship safeties on site, and we're also announcing 1 scholarship safety today, 2 safeties today and 1 more safety to go. At linebacker, we're announcing 2 scholarship linebackers. We're going to add probably 5 total linebackers to our program. We're announcing 4, maybe right now 3 defensive linemen. We eventually are going to sign 4. We don't have paperwork yet on a 4th one back right now. Offensive line wise, we took 2 because then that still gives us 14 on 8. We're signing 1 quarterback. He's not on my list right now. We don't have his paperwork in with us at this moment. We're going to announce, I believe, 3 tailbacks eventually, and maybe in this list there's 2. We're announcing 2 tight ends in this list. There's a 3rd that you're all pretty familiar with, who's I can't talk about because he's not here yet. And we're announcing 3 wide receivers, in addition to the fact that we're signing 3 more wide receivers who are headed for their missions. So a good cross section of players that are going to be here. Our largest contingent of mission-related guys, and I think it just shows you how in-depth we're trying to be in terms of not only our state, but in our area and in our region, how we look not only to next season, but seasons beyond, with the concept of being able to be around an area that's heavily populated with the mission system. Questions?
Last year your focus was on defense. You had 14 recruits on that side. This year you're kind of
all
over the place. Why that?
Our numbers worked out in an interesting way. Number one, we had 19 seniors, and we had 3 vacancies, 3 full scholarship vacancies during the season. So we played at 60.0 equivalency scholarships. That gave us a lot of room. We've had 2 freshman defensive players leave our program. We've had 1 offensive player leave our program because of academic impropriety. So automatically there's some space that gets created by the normal attrition that happens with young guys being stupid. And we also lost a quote starter, unquote, defensive lineman here a couple weeks ago to some off the field activity. So we have enough range, scholarship wise, letter of intent wise, to be able to go out and recruit and have in our campus the largest group of recruits that we've ever put together. You know, when we first got here, we were shallow scholarship-wise because of our APR situation, and that's now all been completely rectified. We've also graduated over 100 guys in 5 years, so academically we are rolling towards what we need to be, and I'm real happy with that. And it was fun to sit on kids' couches who would talk to their mamas and explain to them that this is about a degree and an opportunity. The football takes care of itself. So it's a large class and a great cross-section of a good football team, yet some of these guys will play next year and a lot of these guys won't play for a while because there's great players in front of them already in our program.
Will you kind of run down your list of guys and say a little bit about each one and where they're from?
You bet. I can go, and I'm going to go kind of fast here. I do this by position. Caleb Brown's an outstanding cornerback from Tahoma High School. He's an excellent track athlete. His dad is his high school track coach. He's going to be a near 25-foot long jumper, and he's got numbers. He's a 13.4 high hurdler. He's got some great speed that is probably the first requisite you have to have from a cornerback. The next corner, Courtney Crockett, is a junior college corner who should be competing for time as we pull our helmets on in August. And then Brandon Monroe at 6 foot, 170, has got great length. And for a cornerback to be at 6 foot, that's outstanding size. He's the only Northern California recruit. He comes out of Junipero Serra, which is a private school in the San Mateo area. His dad's an outstanding outstanding club basketball coach who knows a lot of kids and is related to is real familiar with me and the guys that I've recruited from the Bay Area over the years, and so it's a really good fit for us. And there we go. There's an earthquake that they had in the San Francisco Bay Area right there. Brock Davis is a safety out of Skyline High School. Skyline had one of the great years they've had, and he really was a really dynamic player for them. Drew Perkins is a Salt Lake City, a Utah guy who's got great length, and we sat down and said at safety we have got to be longer, and at 6 foot 2, 175, he's got great length. Tavi Leuta Ulu at 315 pounds is a defensive lineman. It'll help us shore up on the inside part of our defensive line. Connor Smith is an outstanding defensive lineman in an Issaquah High School program that's really risen itself from the ashes over the last couple of years. He's also a hockey player, and he can skate backwards. Raise your hand if you can skate backwards. There you go. If you can skate backwards, you can do something a lot of football players can only dream of. But, you know, a real tough-minded guy. His dad was a really nice football player at Pacific Lutheran back in the early 80s or late 80s. He understands exactly what we're about. Romeo Trevino played for Joey Thomas at Ballard High School. Joey was a great cornerback for us at Montana State. Romeo has just been an outstanding 3-year starter at Ballard. Jared Gibson's an outside linebacker, defensive end, great player, outstanding student at Mountain View High School in Meridian, Idaho. And the one thing we said about Jared is he plays football like he's not very smart, but he's a great student. He just plays hard on every single play. It's just such a contrast. You look at his academics and look how hard he plays, and usually that doesn't go hand in hand. Kenneth Turner is an outstanding linebacker who played running back at Jefferson High School, who produced for us Kyle Williams. Same type of guy. 6 foot, wrestler, long arm, linebacker, tough. Got a great family. His dad's on a super incident team for Seattle PD, and just a wonderful story right there. Jacob Molinar's got great size. He's 6'3", 336. His parents are elk farmers on Horseshoe Bend outside of Boise. He goes to Capitol High School, a kid committed to us very early in the process. Carson Sutherland is about the exact same size as Molinar. Both these guys are ready to play right away because they're both come in at right around 300 pounds. Both guys have outstanding speed. Sutherland's dad's a retired California highway patrolman, runs his own security business. Thomas Porter's a little bit slighter offensive lineman from over at Snake River, Blackfoot, and we'll just wait and see what size he is when he gets back from his church mission. Michael Dean is not very big, but he was the leading rusher in the state of California at an outstanding conference at Chaffee High School. And again, running back and D-line are the two positions we never recruit with height in mind. And he is legit 5'6", and I'm listing him at 155, and that's with about 10 pounds of weights in his pockets. Yet he rushed for over 2,500 yards this year in a very tough league. You can't find him, you can't tackle him, you can't touch him, you can't get him. He will actually be here for the Simplot games in a couple weeks, which is awesome. Mason Farnsworth, an outstanding in-state running back, and I believe I'm not for sure, but I'm just trying to remember that if he was not the A2 player of the year. He was 3A player of the year. There we go. Jake Johnson from CUNA, the first player we recruited from CUNA. I listed him at 6'5", but that's what he was, NFL height. He calls himself 6'6", so really the first real tall tight end we've had in our program now for a long time. He played wide receiver at CUNA, having a really nice basketball year. Speaking of basketball, Nate Schubert at 6'3" is also an outstanding basketball player at Kamiak High School. Kamiak out of Mukilteo near Everett when I was at Eastern Washington, we recruited a lot of kids out of Kamiak. It's a school by which the clientele would fit very dearly into Idaho State University. Zach Anderson's a tall wide receiver from up at Madison and one of the outstanding players in our summer camp. Again, part of the state's #1 ranked basketball team. Tristan Beard played at Curtis High School. I've had more than 10 guys play for me in my coaching career out of Curtis High School, out of University Place, which was just near Tacoma. He's got a great build. He runs very precise routes. Yet our depth at receiver will make it awful tough for him to have an impact right away, but he's really dedicated to being a guy that can go. Troy Bells is not very big, and we're listing him at 5'8.5", 160. That might be a little generous, but he was an outstanding running back at Mountain View, and of course his uncles are legacies at Idaho State, Troy Bell and Trevor Bell, who was, I believe, our last academic All-American before this year. Yeah, with Cody Sorensen. So, again, an outstanding student and a really fine fit for us and an ISU legacy. Josh Crane is the point guard for that Madison basketball team that's playing so well, and another guy, just outstanding football and basketball player up at Madison Rexburg. Taylor Pearson's from over at Blackfoot. Taylor's older brother is a starting wide receiver at BYU, and we did not recruit him adequately enough. And I swore to I didn't swear figuratively, but I swore to myself we would not allow Taylor to go anywhere but Idaho State, and we did a great job of recruiting him. He committed early. He will again serve a church-related mission and then come back and have an outstanding career for us. Isaiah Walter is an all-around athlete over at Yakima Davis, which is the same school, of course, that a couple of good football players at Eastern Washington have come from. His high school coach is a guy who has really tried to help us recruit all those kids, making sure that they had opportunities with us. And Isaiah, who played quarterback, defensive back, wide receiver, a multifaceted athlete, could play a bunch of different positions. Just an excellent student and a good fit for us, and a player of the year in his conference. And then Cougar Coburn from I think he's from South Arco. There's 2 high schools in Arco, maybe just one. Butte County High School is a kicker and that can really help us. He can really loft the ball, especially in kickoffs. And if you've seen us kick off over the last 5 years, you know what an adventure that has always been. And Cougar will come in with an opportunity to help us initially as a kickoff. A lot will depend on Zach's recovery from his season-ending end of season surgery. Zach won't be available throughout the spring, and kind of doubtful. We'll just wait and see how he is next fall, because our kicker situation could be closed for Zach for a year as he recovers from surgery.
6 kids from Eastern Idaho. Was that a focus of yours?
Yeah, it's always a focus. Our focus is as close to our front door as possible. Our focus is Highland, Century, Pocatello High School, and then we work our way out. Seriously, I mean, we really don't. In fact, we are still working with some local kids who are playing sports that are not quite, haven't quite been able to get on our campus quite yet. We still have offers in Eastern Idaho and want to add to the Eastern Idaho contingent.
A lot of these players are going on missions. Is that difficult on your program?
No, I think that's awesome. I think it's one of the greatest concepts that we deal with in the Intermountain West. We see the growth of the city of Utah, or the city of Salt Lake. I mean, Salt Lake City and its environment all the way up now, and it's going to stretch into Pocatello, and it's going to push its way all the way up to Rexburg and beyond. This is a place you want to live in the United States right now, and the mission-related kid is somebody you have got to welcome into your program, and we know the advantages. We also know the disadvantages. The advantages obviously are they come back a little bit older and they've seen a life experience that they don't necessarily get in high school. We also know the disadvantages. The disadvantages are sometimes when you're on your mission or you're not on your mission. You know, a couple years into playing college football, you're like, I'm not sure. There's a lot to be asked. And I've had kids go on mission, come back and say, I can't go. I'm not going to play football. I've had kids go on missions and come back and be sick and not be able to be healthy enough to play. And yet we've had kids go on missions and come back bigger and stronger. Garrett Smith comes to mind. Garrett went out at about 6'7", about 320, came back to 6'7", 340. And he's scheduled to be a competitor of our starting right tackle position. He went to Edmonton, and every time he knocked on the door, all those Canadians say, big fella, come on in and have some more food. Whereas Dakota Wilson went to Korea, and he knocked on the door, they opened the door and went, get out of here, big man. So it just depends on where they go and how it works. But it's part of the adventure, I think, of recruiting a kid who's headed for a mission. To me, it is an adventure. We go with them vicariously, and we can't wait for them to return and see how it works. And we've got a couple kids that have come back and had great careers for us, and I just look forward to having to be a part of the fabric of our program.
How many kids total are going on missions?
Pardon?
How many kids total are going on
At
missions?
this point, 6.
Okay.
At this point, it could be 9. It could be 3. It could be 2. It's a moving target.
Right.
We've had kids who wanted to go on missions who didn't go on missions. And we've had kids who said, no, I'm not going on a mission. And then they get to June, they go, I'm going on a mission. So it's a moving target, and we know that it's part of the process.
Is there a number you can give on how many offers are still out there that you haven't heard back yet?
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Okay.
So how big is this class going to be total if everything goes
It could be 36, 37, 38, 39, 40.
Was there a big get in this class?
Yes, I'd like to say that, but I'd be lying. Because last year I never said anything about, I didn't say as much about Rashid Williams as I probably should have. And man, he's one of the best football players. Here's Coach Cooper with a guy signed right now that I could talk about. So this is how it's going. It's noon. We're still working on it. Craig's got to check it to make sure it's right. But yeah, I think there's a couple big gets. Yeah, let's just wait and let them play into it.
Of those 8 offered, well, 7 I guess now that are still out there, how many are from
From Idaho?
Yeah.
2.
Okay. Are they from this area or is?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, real close.
All right.
Grimes? Okay. We're talking about Andrew. Well, I'm waiting. Craig, you got to give me a thumbs up. All right. Andrew Grimes is a running back who played at Lake Stevens High School in Everett, Washington area. Lake Stevens was the site of the nation's #1 quarterback who ended up going to, I believe, to Georgia. He was their running back and scored over 20 touchdowns. They narrowly lost in the playoffs to eventual state championship Bellevue Skyline. He's just an outstanding football player and a guy who will be a factor at running back. Both he and another running back that we hope to sign to be announced, I'm waiting for the door to open, will be a factor in our running back as we try to replace a great Xavier Finney. I mean, obviously, Ja'Cory Ford is on site and the starter, but it's never a one-man show. We want to be triple-headed at tailback, and we will be with 2 freshmen in addition to the guys that are already here.
What excites you the most about this signing class?
The work done by everybody at our university, from my director of athletics, Jeff Tingy, and all of his staff, Nancy and Jim Kramer and Matt Stewart and their staff, our trainers, our equipment people, our strength coach. And then you go on to my coaching staff and how hard they work, and then our own players, how they work to bring guys into the fold that fit us, fit where we're at, see our culture, see where we're at. 2-9 is not where we want to be in the scoreboard, and I know that's not good enough. But there's so many other things in this program that are great and going good. I just know we can be successful. We've got to make sure that happens on the field. So, yeah, this is a great group of kids, and I think they'll have a big impact on us. Yet, to be able to get these guys, I got to have the rest of it, and I'm really proud of all the work that everybody's done. The two people that probably did the most work for us on every Friday, Nancy Graziano and Michael Lacey, would sit down with them and talk about, hey, what I've already talked to them about in their house. Which, when we recruit a guy, we talk only academics, social responsibility, because football is this game we play. It's a play. So if you put it in context, having over 100 dudes graduate in 5 years, wow.
No quarterback on this list? Is that
Not yet.
Not yet. Are you looking at quarterbacks?
And we have already rewarded a walk-on player, Tommy Jewell, who will play quarterback in the spring. He is going to be on contract, or is on contract. He's on our team right now, but he'll be a scholarship quarterback for us next year. And we returned Tanner and Robert, having had Michael transfer out. So we're in good shape at quarterback. Now we're in great shape at running back. We're awesome shape at tight end with 2 seniors back. Our receiving core is extremely loaded, even though we lost a really great player in Madison. We have a lot of varsity experience back. Our offensive line lost 3 starters, yet they were never all 3 healthy at the same time. We got a lot of veteran guys back. Our defensive front with Rashid back, and we get a chance to get Nico Taylor on the field now. He's doing really well. Our whole linebacking core is back, especially with Mario coming off of season-ending surgery. Safety core should be awesome with Tyson back, finally able to play. The question will be is, can we find ourselves a corner to go along, with a couple of the young guys we have here? And we've got to find a way to get off the field in 3rd down on defense, period. And on offense, we've got to play better against man coverage, period. And kick game, start from the beginning and go to the very end. Everything's got to improve. Every single facet of where we're at in our kick game's got to get better. And some of these guys will have a big impact on our ability to cover kicks and return kicks. Not that they'll be handling the ball, but they'll be blocking and tackling in those various aspects. And the last thing is, which of these guys get a red shirt? The answer is none of them, until they prove they can't play. Until they prove they're not good enough to play for us. Guys have played so much football. It's just a change in the dynamic of our sport. Nobody gets redshirted. Now everybody plays.
Do you have a certain time period that you want to figure out whether they're going to redshirt or not?
Yeah, we do it just through 2 days. It'll take us about, I'll know before we get into full pads. because how well they're able to learn. And it's amazing when we interview guys. Part of the process when they come in on a recruiting trip is we sit with them. The last thing we do is talk football. And our coaches sit down and they say, okay, well, tell us what you know about football. I don't know if you watch any of the NFL stuff, the stuff that John Gruden does with his Fired Football Coaches of America deal. But he sits there and he asks all those kids, hey, show us your favorite play. At every position, almost every one of these guys is a football nerd. I mean, they've played so much Xbox and PlayStation that they're able to go, oh, yeah, well, we're going to get open set to that side, 2 high safeties are in the middle divide, and that's the guard. I mean, he's talking like he's a quarterback. So the only guys that are really not as knowledgeable about the sport are the small town dudes. And we only really have one small town dude, and he's headed for an LDS mission. And that's Porter. He's a kid. He's a hard-working cat that's a rancher and a cowboy. And, I mean, I think he thinks Xbox is something they put steel fence posts in. So it was great to have him because he's more like me than any of these other guys.
Going back to the missions, do you know as of right now the guys going on
Yes.
that are supposed to?
Yes, but I'm not going to list them because life changes.
Okay.
It wouldn't be fair to them. Who knows what a 17-year-old boy is going to do tomorrow, let alone today. So we just leave those guys alone. And their families. Families are committed to the concept, and God love them. Literally, figuratively.
Is this one of the biggest recruiting classes you've had from Idaho?
It's by far. Yep. It's by far, maybe not total number of guys because we're still not done naming guys. So yeah, we're going to continue to add to that, and a lot of that has to do with interest in our program. It has a lot to do with the mamas, Idaho mamas, because they realize Idaho State football is not just about the scoreboard. It's about your son being able to get through and be something special, especially academically. And that's happened to us, and it's happening over and over and over and over again. And so our reputation among the mamas is getting better because they know we'll take care of their son, especially academically. And socially, we've done a real good job, except for the blip we had here 2 weeks ago. And I won't comment on that, but I think we all know what I'm talking about. So for us, having a 4-year run where we haven't had anything outlandish behavior, parents trust us more in the state of Idaho than they did when I first got here. They just trust us, and I think that's a big impact for us.
Back to your target areas, you target the state of Idaho, Washington, California. Why not the Salt Lake Valley?
Oh, we are there in Salt Lake. In fact, that's Drew Perkins is from Salt Lake, and we're in the Salt Lake heavy. We lost 3 kids from Salt Lake last night. We lost 3 dudes last night. So that's hard to take. But until the one thing that'll happen, until we get a kid from the Salt Lake area that plays well for us, it'll still be uphill for us. Once we break through that, we get a Utah kid to play well for us, then we'll be in better shape. We just need a guy to sign with us and become a good player so we can point to him as the magnet. Because in Idaho this year, it's amazing. Excuse me. We've had Montana took a kid from Idaho. Eastern took a kid from Idaho. Weber's taken a kid from Idaho. The Big Sky Conference is in the state of Idaho recruiting, whereas in years past that has not been the case. So it's interesting that they're reaching to us, so we're going to reach to them.
Do you think the state of Idaho is producing better football players now?
I think Idaho's always produced great football players. I was amazed 40 years ago when I played at the University of Idaho how many kids from Southern Idaho were playing all over the country. And from Pocatello, from Highland High School, Falash was playing at Notre Dame at that time. So I just look at it and just say, no, I think the quality of football is good in the state of Idaho, but I also think it's because of the quality of life we enjoy. And that's one thing you would find in the state of Washington. Why are we so heavy in Washington? The quality of life of Washington, the standard of education, the standard of how you grow up is just extraordinary in those 2 areas, and it's a buyer's market in terms of being able to find talent. And we have missed 20 guys. We've missed 20 or 30 guys in the state of Idaho right now in this recruiting class. We have made huge mistakes. We just don't know it yet. I mean, it's just the way it goes. It's just the nature of what it is. And so for all those kids that we didn't recruit, that we didn't offer, that want to knock on our door and say, please let me walk on, you know what they call themselves? Mitch Beckstead. 3-year starter, academic all-conference player, got your degree, headed to physical therapy school. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on again through us. You call yourself Tyler Cruder. I'm for Payette, Idaho, I'm gonna walk on. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna lead the nation in defensive line tackles, walk on. So, this is our recruited list. Now, where's the next list of guys that could come in and be great players? We're still working on those guys too.
That it? Okay, thanks guys.
Thank
you.
Thanks, guys.